Welcome you all to Jenny's Commerce Land, Unit 9. Do not forget to subscribe my channel for latest updates. So yes, in our previous chapter, in our previous video, we have seen about financial management. Today we are going to see a new concept under financial management, that is financial planning. So financial planning is nothing but planning for the finance required by the business. So it helps in finding out the requirements as well as also determining the sources from where we can acquire this funds. For this, we prepare a blueprint, probably, or we can say mostly 3 to 5 years plan it is, and in that plan we include our expansions, that is a long-term investments, growth and financing decisions, and in this way we plan to for the future activities of the business, and this is nothing but the financial planning. Next is in importance of financial planning. Under importance of financial planning, first of all, it guarantees sufficient funds. As I said, we are planning for the future activities and we are determining the sources as well. So there would not be any shortcome of this funds. So that's why we can say that financial planning guarantees sufficient funds. Now the second one is planning helps in guaranteeing a harmony between outgoing and incoming of the assets with the goal that stability is kept up. So while planning, we can also keep the stability of the organization because there is a harmony between the outgoing and incoming of the assets. Next, it guarantees the providers of the fund effortlessly to put into the organization. So when the people are investing in the organization, they will see that you have planned enough for the organization for its future activities, and they will effortlessly put their resources into your business without any doubt. That is the third importance of financial planning. Now moving forward, financial planning supports the development and expansion programs which supports in the long run sustenance of the organization. So financial planning no doubt helps us out in the developing as well as the expansion programs of the organization. Now, the next is it diminishes vulnerabilities with respect to changing business sector. So yes, the business patterns and the sectors keep on changing every time. So the business environment these days are not predictable at all. So if any unforeseen conditions also appear in future, we have enough funds, therefore we can face it courageously. That is what this financial planning helps us out with. Next point, it helps in diminishing the vulnerabilities which can be a deterrent to the development of the organization. So it also helps in guaranteeing a security, and that is by diminishing the risk or the unforeseen conditions that could be come ahead in opposition of the development of the the organization. Suppose an organization is planning for some expansion program and there is sudden change in the business environment or some risk that appears out, but with this financial planning we can phase it out courageously, and we can diminish that risk that is resulting in the security of the organization. That is the next point. Now we have seen about the financial planning. Now there is another thing that matters under this financial management, that is nothing but the capital structure. So for an organization to run, there must be a money, and this money in account terms can be told as, or we can mention it as capital, right? So how should it structure, or how should the combination of capital be? So from a technical perspective, the capital structure is a careful balance between equity and debt that a business uses to finance its asset, day-to-day operations and future growth. So it is nothing but a combination of equity and debt that the business would be using to finance its asset as well as the day-to-day operations and the future growth. So this capital is required for all these activities. Now, as I mentioned, it is a mixture of owner's fund and the borrowed fund. So there are two types of fund, that is owner's fund and borrowed fund. About these two concepts, I would be putting a video to make this very much clear. So yes, I would be speaking about this in that video. Okay, so for now it is a mix between the owners fund and the borrowed fund. So there should be a combination. The borrowed fund, if it is on a higher side, it is a risk, and if it's only the owners fund that is into the business, then also it is a risk. So this is a we should find the midpoint between this owners fund and the borrowed fund, and that together gives us a excellent capital structure. Now, important formulas under this. First of all, funds equals owners fund plus borrowed fund. Owners fund equals equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus plus retained earning equals equity. Now, owners fund is nothing but the equity part, and it includes these all components. Okay. Now, the borrowed fund, that is nothing but the fund that has been borrowed from somebody else. That is loans plus debenture plus public deposit equals debt. Borrowed funds are nothing but the debt to the company, and they include these factors. Next, debt versus equity. The cost of debt is lower than the cost of equity, but the debt is riskier than equity. The reason for this are, so as I mentioned before, if the debt part of the company is on a higher side, it is a risk. And now we're going to see why it is a risk. The lender earns an assured interest and repayment of the capital. So many times the earning of the company is going out as an interest for the lender and repayment of the capital. The interest on the debt is a tax deductible expense. So it brings down the tax liability for a business. So now the interest on the debt is a deductible expense. So the tax liability of the company comes down. Whereas if it is dividend that are paid out after tax. So if it is a dividend, it is a benefit. But if it is an interest on debt, then it is a deductible expense, tax deductible expense. So this result in the lowering of our tax liability. Next is debt is more dangerous for the business as it adds to the financial risk faced by a business. So it also adds to a financial risk. So therefore, this is a dangerous. So we need to find the midpoint between the debt and equity. That is the the key point over there. Now the factors that affects the capital structure. First of all, the cash flow position. So these are the factors that determine the combination between equity and debt. First of all, cash flow position. A firm's ability to pay expenses and loans determine the debt capacity. Some firms operate in volatile financial environments affecting their ability to meet the financial obligation. The company may raise funds by issuing debts if it has a fluent cash flow position, as they are to be paid back after some time. So the debt, uh, you know, always is dependent on our ability to repay back. If we do not have an ability to repay at a fastest time, so it is better for us to reduce the debt part or avoid, borrowing. For that, we can postpone the plans that are in our mind for expansion or some other way out. So the cash flow position, that is the inward cash and the outward flow of the cash, is really important while determining the capital structure of a company. Next, the interest coverage ratio. That is nothing but the ICR. It is a number of times earning before interest and taxes, that is EBIT of the company covers the interest obligation. High interest coverage ratio indicates that the company has a more of borrowed funds. So if the company's EBIT, that is earning before interest and taxes, are on a higher side, it indicates that the company has borrowed a lot of funds, and that is why it is a factor that determines the capital structure. Now, ICR, that is interest coverage ratio, equals earning before interest and tax, EBIT divided by interest. Okay, so this is a formula to find out the interest coverage ratio of a organization. The third is control. Public issues damage the reputation of the for and make it vulnerable to take over. The debt generally does not cause dilution of control. To have control, the firm must issue debt. So there is a constant struggle over whether to give up the control or to pay more for the capital. So even the control of the business at times slips out of the hand. So therefore, we must be really, choosy while selecting our debt and the equity proportion. So that is what is mentioned in this point. Now, next, return on investment. It will be beneficial for a firm to raise a finance through borrowed fund if the return on investment is higher than the rate of interest on the debt. So, while borrowing fund, we also need to keep in mind that we earn more after borrowing this fund rather than paying more interest. If we are paying more interest and our the profit is on a lower side, then it is of no use, right? We are paying more for the capital, and therefore it is a uh, not good for the growth of the organization. Therefore, return on investment also determines the capital structure. Next is flotation cost. Flotation cost must be understood while selecting the source of finance. The cost of public issue is more than the flotation cost of taking a loan. The cost of issuing securities, broker's commission, underwriter's fee, cost of prospectus, etc. is the flotation cost. So we have to keep in mind about the flotation cost while taking a loan. So there are various things that come under flotation cost. If we consider all these things, then only we should, think about taking up a debt. That is a loan or some, uh, you know, um, most of the time it is a loan or some mutual funds or some such things. Okay, so if we are opting for a loan, we also must keep in mind the flotation cost. So that is also a factor that determines the capital structure of an organization. Next, it is a flexibility. Issuing a debenture and preference share introduces flexibility. A good financial structure is flexible and sound enough to have a scope for expansion. So, the financial structure always should be flexible. It should always have a scope for expansion. So, issuing of a debenture and preference share introduces flexibility. So this is also a factor that determines the capital structure. Next, stock market condition. The stock market condition also influences the determination of securities. Due to the depression, people do not like to take a risk and do not take the interest in equity shares. During the boom, the investors are ready to take a risk and invest in equity shares. So this factor also determines the capital structure, whether we are investing more in equity shares or not investing. Next is the tax rate. Interest on the debt is allowed as a deduction. This in case of the high tax rate, debts are preferred over equity. So if it is a high tax rate, then the debts are preferred over equity. But in case of lower tax rate, more preference is given to equity. So even tax rate is a factor that determines the combination of the capital structure. So we now saw 8 points that determines the factors of determining the factors affecting the capital structure. Next, fixed capital and its concepts and the factors affecting fixed capital requirement. So now we understand from here that capital can be divided into two, that is fixed capital and the working capital. So the fixed capital, it is the amount of capital investment in fixed assets. That is nothing but the fixed capital. For example, plant and machinery, land and building, etc. Okay, so the amount of capital investment in fixed asset is nothing but the fixed capital, and the example of this is plant and machinery, land and building, etc. So there are some factors that affect the fixed capital requirement. First of all, it is the nature of the business. What is the business all about? Is it into more machinery? Is it into more building? Or whatever the factors can be. So this also determines the requirement of the fixed capital. Next is the scale of operation. Is this technology based or more man based, labor based? So these all are a factor that affects the fixed capital requirement. Now, the third is the choice of techniques. Again, it is nothing but the, the techniques that are used for the production. So in the scale of operation, it can be, large scale production, middle scale, small scale. And whereas it comes to the techniques, it can be more advanced technologies or labor based, simple technologies in that. Next is the technology upgradation. How much technology, if we are preferring technology over labor, how much upgradations we, make it into our organizations while operating. Next is the growth prospects and the diversification. So how much growth an organization is, you know, organization is able to acquire, or organization is able to grow, as well as the diversification, that is, boosting the product lines, that is introducing more and more product lines. These all are the factors that determine the fixed capital. So if, as well as there is financing alternatives and collaboration. Now, when we study deeply into the business, its nature, its choice of techniques and everything, then only we can find out the fixed capital requirement of the organization. So that, therefore, these factors are really important while determining the fixed capital requirement. Next is a working capital. That is nothing but a part of the total capital which is required for holding the current assets. It may also be defined as an excess of current assets over current liabilities. So working capital equals current assets minus current liability. It is the capital that is required for holding the current assets. So what are the current assets? Cash is there, then some short-term investments could be there. Okay, so these are all nothing but the current assets, and when the current assets is on a higher side, on a higher number over the current liabilities, then it is the working capital, and it is required for the day-to-day operation of the organization. So now the factors that affects the working capital requirements are nothing but nature of business, the scale of operation, business cycle, seasonal factors, production cycle, credit availed, credit allowed, operating efficiency, availability of raw materials, growth prospects, level of competition, and inflation. So the factors, if we deeply see into these factors, we can understand that in the factors of fixed capital, it was always on a long-term, long-term investment or a long-term growth prospects. But if we see now over here in the working capital requirements, we can see that it is related to the daily operations of the organizations. So therefore, fixed capital is always related to the investment in fixed assets and working capital in the current assets, as well as we can say it is the capital required for the day-to-day operation of the organization. So yes, students, we have come to the end of the slide, and yes, thank you for the patient, listening. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop it down in the comment box. I would be really happy to help you all out with this. So yes, we have completed this chapter, that is chapter 9, financial management. Very soon I'll be coming up with a new video. Till then, prepare well for your exams. Keep posting your doubts and queries.